So I was reading up on some market news, and it looks like Adani Enterprises is planning a full exit from Adani Wilmar. That's quite a big move, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty significant. They're planning to sell off their entire 44% stake in the joint venture. It's like they're deciding to completely move on from that business.
Wow. Okay. So it's not just reducing their stake, it's a complete departure. I guess what prompted such a big decision?
Well, it seems that Adani Enterprises wants to focus more on their core infrastructure businesses. Think of it like a company deciding to trim down a branch to let the main trunk grow stronger.
That makes sense. So they're redirecting resources, I guess. But how exactly will this exit work? It sounds complicated.
Right, so the exit will happen in two phases. First, they'll sell a majority stake to Wilmar International subsidiary, and then another chunk to meet public shareholding requirements.
Okay, so it's not just one transaction, it's like a two-step process, right? So who exactly is buying the bulk of their stake?
Yes, the largest portion of their stake, about 31%, will be acquired by Lens PT, which is a subsidiary of Wilmar International. The other, around 13%, will be sold to comply with regulations.
Interesting. So Wilmar is taking over the lion's share. But what about the remaining stake? What happens to that?
That's precisely the 13% I was talking about, which will be divested to satisfy minimum public shareholding rules. It's like tidying up before a house sale.
Ah, I see. So it's more of a regulatory move rather than another sale. Got it. And what does this mean for Adani Wilmar? I mean, will there be any change?
Oh, yes, quite a few changes, actually. For starters, Adani Wilmar's board will see some resignations. The directors nominated by Adani, I mean.
So, new leadership coming in, okay. What else? Will it impact the daily operations or something like that?
Well, they're also planning to change the name of Adani Wilmar. It's like a rebranding exercise to signify the change in ownership and direction.
That makes sense. It signifies a clean break, I guess. So, it will no longer be associated with the Adani brand, right?
Exactly. The company's name will likely change to something like AWL Limited or something similar to reflect that transition.
Interesting. So, a complete transformation, really. Well, what is Adani Enterprises planning to do with the funds raised from this deal, though?
Well, that's where the focus shifts, right? They plan to use the funds to turbocharge their investments in infrastructure sectors like energy, transport, and logistics.
Ah, so it's all about expansion and consolidation in their core business areas. It's like streamlining their portfolio.
Yes, exactly. They're aiming to strengthen their position in like key sectors that are driving India's growth. It's like focusing on the core strengths.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So they're going back to their roots in a way, investing in areas they're already good at, right?
Yes, and it allows them to further consolidate their position as a major player in the Indian market. It's like they're doubling down on their strengths.
So it's a strategic move to bolster their infrastructure projects and consolidate their position. Makes sense. How do investors feel about this, though?
Well, the market seems to have responded positively to this news, as Adani Enterprises stock went up by over 7% when it was announced. It seems like investors see it as a positive step.
So that's a pretty good jump, actually. It shows the market confidence in this strategic decision, I guess.
Right, it seems like investors agree that focusing on infrastructure is a smart move given Adani Enterprises' expertise.
Definitely. And what about Adani Wilmar's stock price? I mean, did that go up or down or stay neutral?
Actually, Adani Wilmar's stock dipped a bit. It closed down about 1.8% on the same day. I guess the market is digesting the change of ownership or something.
That's a bit expected, I suppose, with major ownership shifts. Right. So they're essentially going their separate ways after all these years.
It seems so, and both companies will go forward with new strategies and focus areas. It's kind of like a formal separation.
Right. And this exit is pretty significant. It signals a strategic shift for both entities. It's like a new chapter, right?
Absolutely, it's a new chapter for sure. It will be interesting to see how both Adani Enterprises and Wilmar chart their future courses from here on.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pretty interesting development in the market. Thanks for breaking it down and makes much more sense now.
No problem at all. It's fascinating to see how these strategic decisions will play out in the long run and how it reshapes the market.
Indeed. And it certainly prompts you to think about how other companies may follow suit. It's a good reminder of how things can change quickly in the business world.
Right, the markets are always dynamic, and these shifts in strategy can really define the future landscape of business. It's like watching a chess game, right?
Exactly. Always interesting. What's going to be the next move?
Right, it keeps us all on our toes, doesn't it? So, what other market shifts have you seen recently that have caught your attention?